For today's class, we are going to be discussing on operator precedence. What happens when you do 1 plus 2 minus 2? How does JavaScript knows the one to add first? Should it do 1 plus 2, which gives us 3, then do 3 minus 2, which gives us 1? Or should it do 1 plus 2 minus 2, which is 0? Right? So how does JavaScript knows or handles priority in the arithmetic operations? That is what we are going to be looking at today. So if you run this code, you get, let me put a console there so you see what's going on. If you run this code, you'll get 1, which is correct because JavaScript precedence follow the popular ways that we calculate precedence in mathematics. So it handles the plus before the that is minus. So plus has a higher precedence before subtraction. So what if we add division and multiplication to it? So if we do times 2, what do you think the answer will be? Do you think, since this one gave us a 1, do you think it's going to be 1 times 2? Or is it going to be everything here minus everything here? So the same way we treat multiplication and addition and subtraction in mathematics, the same way JavaScript treats it. So multiplication has higher precedence than addition and subtraction. So JavaScript is going to, first of all, calculate the multiplication. So what this is going to give us is 1 plus 2, which is 3, minus 2 times 2, which is 4. And this will give us -1. Because 3 minus 4 is -1. So JavaScript handles the multiplication first. What if we add divided by 2? So the same way that we handle mathematics with division and multiplication, multiplication has higher precedence than division. And division has higher precedence than addition and subtraction. So in breaking down this, JavaScript will first of all do the multiplication, which has higher precedence. So if we are breaking down this, it's going to be, remember that plus has higher precedence than minus. So it's going to be 1 plus 2, which is going to be 3. Then it's going to do minus 2 times 2, which is 4. Then divided by 2. So this is what you're going to get. And remember, division has higher precedence than minus. So it's going to divide this 1 first. And you're going to get 3 minus 4 divided by 2, which is 2. And you now end up with 3 minus 2, which is going to give you a 1. So if you run this, we should expect to get 1. So which is this. So knowing this precedence is very important. Why doing arithmetic operations? Because sometimes you might expect a particular value, and because the precedence that you expect is wrong, then your value that you'll be expecting will be wrong. So, but in JavaScript, there is a workaround for this. So using the parentheses to group expressions or arithmetic operations helps us to change the precedence. So what I just explained to us right now is the default precedence, but you can use parentheses, which is this, opening and closing brackets. You can use these parentheses to group how you want JavaScript to calculate your arithmetic operations. So when you use this, it's called expression grouping. So you can decide that, okay, JavaScript, I don't want you to behave the default behavior. I want to override your behavior. So let's have this up here, and let's bring the same thing down here and check for differences. You see that this one returns 1 as the result by the default behavior. So let's say we want, instead of multiplication, which has higher precedence than addition, but we want the addition to happen, the division to happen first before the multiplication. Then we can use the parentheses to group those operations that we want to happen first. So we want this division to happen first. So we are going to group this one. So what happens now is that the precedence has changed. So instead of this multiplication to happen first before this division will take place first before the multiplication. So what will happen here now, breaking it down like we did before, you will get 1 plus 2, which is 3, then minus, this is 2 times, then it encounters a bracket. So what you will get now is 2 times, then it's going to process this bracket together, which is 2 divided by 2, which is going to give you a 1. So you see that the calculation has changed. Now, when it gets here, multiplication has higher precedence. So it's going to do 2 times 1, which is 2. And it's going to do 3 minus 2, which is going to give you a 1. Now, in this case, the value is the same, right? 1, 1. We wouldn't know the difference because of what we are calculating. So let's change up this number a bit. Let's say this one is 3. 3. Let's see if it's, I want to, okay, let's do 3 times 5, 8 divided by 2. So let's see. This would definitely give us something. Moment. Yeah, because the operation is the same, more or less. Because here's what is happening. If you do this times this, divide everything by this, it's going to give you exactly the same thing, like this divided by this times this. So that is what is going on here, because this change doesn't really create a difference. That is why we are getting the same value all the way. So if we do more grouping, let's say we want to give this minus its own group. Now, if you get this, you definitely get a different value. So let's put this one down to the lower value so that we get it clear. 0, 4 should be a little bit up. Yep. So you see, -3 and -1. If we break down this, you will figure out that this will be calculated together and this will be calculated together. Remember, in your mathematics, when you have a bracket, the bracket will have to be calculated first. When we say open brackets, when you open the bracket, you have to calculate everything in the bracket first before attending to the things outside. So breaking down this, you are going to get 1 plus 2 minus 3, which is -1 times 4 divided by 2, which is 2. So you're going to get something like this. And you do 1, because it has higher precedence, so it's going to be -1 times 2, which is going to be -2. And if you do 1 plus -2, is going to give you -1, which is what you have here. So that is how you can change the precedence, by just using the bracket to group the elements, how you want them to be calculated, knowing that the one in the bracket will be attended to together before moving to the outside mathematics. So you can also do the same using variables. So if we do variable A equals to 4, variable B equals to 8, variable C equals to 5. We can also use these variables to, just like the way we used it before, can say A plus B times C divided by B. The same way is going to want to print D. So if we run this, you get 9. And you can change the precedence by adding the grouping. So right now we want to group these 3 together. It's probably not going to give us much difference because this is done together anyways. I'm looking for how to group this to give us some difference. So we want to say, calculate this one together, then divide by 2. See this? This is more tricky now. So with the grouping, then we know that this will have to be operated, then divided by 2 before adding this A to it. But if, remember the value is 6.5. If we move out this, check out what we will get as a result. Yes, because of, again, this doesn't give us much difference because the precedence is right, in the right order. That's why we get the same value. I'm trying to see how we can change this around quickly. So let's say minus. Let's mix it in a way the priority is not same. So you see, this is 40. And if we group this, then you get 20. You see the difference? So we want to calculate this one first, then divide it by 2. If we remove the brackets, JavaScript is going to follow multiplication having the higher precedence, then followed by division, then followed by addition, then followed by subtraction. That's what JavaScript will do, and it's going to get you 40. But if you want to change the order, then you can put these groupings, and if you run this, you get a 20. So this is how you can use parentheses to change the precedence. So now there are other operators like the plus plus, the minus minus that we discussed. They also have their own precedence. The plus plus and the minus minus is the same. Plus has higher precedence than minus minus. So the same thing with equal. If you check equal to and strictly equal to have higher precedence than strictly equal to. I'm going to share us a link to a table where you can see the full list of how JavaScript considers some of these operators, so that in case when you are using it, you don't get a wrong precedence and you get some logical errors, which does not, which is very hard to find in your code. Because, for example, this one that we're demonstrating here, imagine that you are expecting a 20 and your code is giving you 40, like this. You know, it's very hard to debug when you get this kind of errors. So you need to understand the precedence in order to scale through this. Task 5, generate 7 values of your choice. Use the arithmetic operators, which are the plus, minus, times, divide, to calculate these 7 values to provide 7 different results based on different precedence. And I have given you an example here. This is a D. This one is more or less 3 different values. I'm using 3 different values. In your case, it's going to be 7. And this is my result 1, which is D1. And I can give you the second D2. And I use this parenthesis here to change the precedence, and I'm going to get different values. So when I log D1 and D2, you are going to get 40 and 20, which is 2 different results. So in your case, I want 7 different results, just playing around, changing the priorities and precedence. Thank you and see you in the next class.